seems that teachers pick up from here and interpret it in their own way and then run with it in their own manner. But this is the original handbook of it. It's a very old book. I think it goes back to about, I think your introduction tells you it's something like 200 or 300 BC, maybe earlier. I don't know when exactly Krishna, the hero of this presentation, functioned, but let's see if we have any. The introduction of this book isn't bad, and it does give you some of the main concepts that were being taught in the different types of Hinduism. For instance, you have the Vedas mentioned in the introduction, which were a kind of priestly literature telling you how the priest class, sort of like in ancient Persia, the priest class was on top of the society. They were called Maji or whatever they were referred to as. And in India, in Hindu India, you really did have a very strong priest class. And they had very extensive purity regulations, something like the Hebrew Bible. And out of these things, certain concepts emerge that are on page Roman numeral 14 of your book. Concepts like Brahman and Atman. And he tries to define Brahman and Atman in your introduction, that is. I never have mastered these concepts, but for instance, they come out in another group of literature, the Upanishads, which are a little later than the Vedas, which are more like the sacrifice sort of instruction books. The Upanishads tend to be more philosophical. In any case, after those two versions of literature, we get this Bhagavad Gita, which is a little later in the pipeline of Hindu thought. But here he tries to define Brahman and Atman. There are two names for one truth. The two are one, like the Trinity in Christianity. You have to understand that the writer, translator of this book is a Spanish Catholic writer, and I think he brings a lot of his Catholicism into his translations. So I'm not sure you can always rely on his translations. He seems to see too much Christianity in all this, and he expresses it in terms of Christian concepts that to make it more familiar to you. And that's why often I encourage people to have several different translations. Sometimes I bring in several different translations because we don't know the original language ourselves, Sanskrit. Scholars, of course, do, but we can't expect ourselves at this level, at the introductory level, to be on top of things like that. So the best you can do is compare different translations to get an idea of the different way people interpret a given term. So you'll find that the terms are interpreted pretty differently. And as we go through this translation, I think what you might see is that the words he's using, it might have better have been used Atman or Brahman or something like that, rather than some of the translations that he puts in, the translator that is, which are extremely, quote, Christian. And they may not exactly be what they might be in something like Christianity. And two names for one truth, I don't think that's exactly right. Anyway, Brahman is the oneness, the Godhead of the outer universe, the truth, as he puts it, of the outer universe. And Atman is the inner being, the inner self, but it's a universal self, not just you, but all humans, I guess, and maybe animals as well. And that's an inner sort of truth or expression. I don't know how you would put it. That's why sometimes you can't translate these two words. Om was a big thing back in the hippie days. You remember people like John Lennon or Allen Ginsberg, the poet, or they would sit around chanting Om, 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 Om. Actually, it really is a very similar Hindu word for mummy, asking for your mother. In fact, that's they used to group these languages together, the linguists of the 19th century, Indo-European languages they called them. One of the things they found that most of them had the same word for mummy, mother, you know, just about, they could group them that way, really. Even Arabic and Hebrew have Ima, mom, so on, for mother. For some reason, everyone has about the same word for mummy. I don't know why that is. Is a word similar to mummy. Don't put that on your chest. It's supposed to be some spiritual word that you recite that gets you into a state of being that you can receive this knowledge. It's not so different now than what we saw in the Carlos Castaneda book in terms of being taught native southwestern plants. This is being taught the knowledge of one, of Brahman. Anyway, it's like that word I told you in the Curb Your Enthusiasm episode. The mantra word that if you repeat it over and over and over again, what happens to you? Well, if you do things over and over and over again, you get into a trance-like state. And some mystics and other groups felt that was the first step towards focusing your consciousness to get you on the path to enlightenment experience. So this chanting that either you say something over and over again, or in Islam it's called dhikr. Repeat, you just keep on repeating Islamic mysticism until you get into another state of being. The Muslims also have this kind of mysticism, as I just mentioned, but they have this group that just go like this. They kind of whirl like that to a kind of